I love the way the First Gen Lounge makes me feel.
Because it creates a space where I belong.
Where we're able to create community.
The fact that it's a community.
It's a safe place.
It also gives me a place to understand different perspectives.
The stories of these individuals prescribe transformational perspective.
I receive encouragement, enlightenment, empowerment.
And also serve as a catalyst to just keep going.
Where we're able to be our true selves.
I'm allowed to be an unapologetic first gen.
And above all else, tell our story.
And every episode is unique.
I love it.
I'm your host, Dr. Eve, and I'd like to welcome you to the First Gen Lounge. Hey, welcome back. And if you are new here, hello. Glad you joined the show. And I really hope that you continue to come kick it with us on Thursdays, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever you get to it. Just come on back. But aside though, really hope that you're doing well, that you're drinking your water, that you're eating your vegetables, that you're getting your sun, and that you're blocking all of the negativity. Because ain't nobody got time for that. Is that copyright? Do I have to? Okay. Well, just don't tell nobody. Okay, don't tell nobody. So, got a story to tell you. And of course, I'm not going to tell you the story of what happened without offering to you the lessons that I've learned. And so, let's just go ahead and dive in. A few months ago, talking to my business mentor and partner, and realized, hey, I think I'm going to do a new website. This is some great advice, great idea. Let's make it happen, right? So then I start to do some digging, and let's just say in a strange series of events and in the midnight hour, I ended up having to do my website. Like, boy, I'm telling you, listen, girl, I'm telling you, look everybody like, yeah. So it went from being like I have no experience at all with this platform. I don't even know what hosting is, to domain, to any of this plugin, none of it. Because for a number of years, I've been using a drag and drop website. And so now it's like, but to get the level up that you want, you're going to have to do something different. There's a nugget, okay? So I'm like, cool, I'm gonna do this. But again, in this last hour, I spent several days like going to bed 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning to make sure that this website was going to like pop off. Because a part of it as well is that I had already missed my deadline, my first deadline, and was feeling even more stressed out about that. But it ended up being that things worked out in the end for me, because I was able to get even more creative with launching my site on 9/9/29, and like, oh my gosh, not 9/9/29, tripping, 9/9/2020. And it was like, wow, it became very meaningful. Like, it's a day for me in history. And I, joke around saying I'm going to make 9/9 Evangeline Worldwide Day. But the more I thought about it, like, for real, I'm just going to make it a celebration. But anyway, fast forward. I remember throughout this process of sitting up, thinking about stuff like padding, pixels, image size, features, links. Like, I'm looking at all, like, this is crazy. This is so crazy to me. Like, how did I get here? And similarly, I know sometimes in life you may find yourself saying, how did I get here? But the thing is that you got there because that's where you're supposed to be. Like, whatever divine things are happening in life and in the universe, where you are, how you got there is because you're supposed to be there for a reason, to learn something, to grow in some kind of way. So like, nothing's in vain, right? Bet. So I found myself up one night when I was working on something on the website, and I was like, listen, God, can you please help me figure out what I'm supposed to be learning for this? I know that you know, and I know that you will, tell me in due time, but can we speed it up a little bit? Because I really want to know, because y'all, I wasn't sleeping for like several days. And as much as I love to eat, I even one day looked up and I was like, yo, it is 2 o'clock and I haven't eaten anything. Like, get it together. So I did get me a snack though, a nice big snack. We would call it a meal. Cool. So anyway, I remember later on, can't tell you how much later, but later on, it came to me. You got to understand that things don't always have to be perfect. And so I'm like, what? Wait a minute. That's the lesson? Things will always have to be perfect? And it was like, ding, like, no, things don't always have to be perfect. And realizing that progress over perfection is what's necessary, right? Progress over perfection, because, as I've shared, before, at the end of the day, we think that if something's not perfect, that it's not good enough, or if something's not perfect, that it's not excellent. But I argue that neither of those things are true. And I know that because of just really being able to sit and reflect and look at some of the things I've done and think, man, back then, I wasn't even where I wanted to be, but that didn't keep me from, getting things done or being afforded opportunities that otherwise maybe I thought I didn't deserve. But hey, we're so critical on ourselves. That's what we got to work on. But anyway, getting this website done. And speaking of, here's the thing that entrepreneurship really has me on. At the end of the day, when it comes to handling your business, you have got to handle your business like even in the midnight hour. You can't make excuses, and you can't put off what's not happening in your business on other people or other things. Yeah, other people and other things may have, played a role in that thing, but at the end of the day, especially when it comes to the people that you're serving, however you're serving them, you got to make stuff happen. But that's also where having really good communication comes in as well, especially when you're working with clients and things are like, going on, and you got to give them an explanation, because when they give you their money, hey, got to deliver. But that's a conversation for another day. So yeah, to this website, working on this website, and by the end, I find myself feeling extremely empowered by what I've been able to do. But before I had even gotten to what to me was the end of this project, I was just so frustrated and again, so stressed out, because all I can think about was all of the small details and all the things that I didn't know, and how much people were going to look and they were going to criticize. You need to change this. You need to do that. And this isn't good here. And this isn't great there. But then I'm like, Eve, chill. It's all good. Why? Because this is something you have never done before. Not at this level. This is something that you have no experience with. I'm not a designer. I'm not a developer. I can't tell you I know code. I have been able to do very basic things. But let me say this, having people that I can reach out to and get feedback from, and being able to reach out to companies that I'm working with and hey, how can I do this? Do y'all have an article on this? And shout out to YouTube and Google for saving a day in a lot of instances. But anyway, realizing that I'm so focused on having such a perfect product that I almost wasn't going to launch. But that was no excuse, honest, for me to not show up for my people, which is you. And it's well, how can having a website, play a part in anything that's, going on with me? Because that's how I'm able to communicate things, right? It's how I'm able to share the show. That's one means of doing so. How I'm able to share the services or the products or anything that's coming up that's intended to serve. The website is virtual real estate. It is. And so for me to have also lost time in the development, I realized, man, I'm missing a lot to be able to communicate to my people. And I'm even more frustrated, but I'm the one thing that I love about my people that I had to check myself on too is that, hey, you don't expect me to be perfect, and you don't expect for me to always be on 100. Cause real recognize real, and as much as we have had, conversations in just different ways, or, just feedback that I've gotten from you on things, or just the love that you show by being here, I realize being an imperfect person all the time, you keep showing up, then that means something, that it's all good, just chill. So in my just chill, it also made me think that when I stop trying to be perfect and I strive for excellence, there is a difference. So when I'm striving for excellence, that means I'm looking to do the best that I can do given the circumstance. Hello, you got that? Because think about this. Think about some of the projects and some of the things that you've even done and things that you've been able to accomplish that you may have felt okay, this is a really big deal kind of situation or project. And these people look at the work that you've done, whatever capacity you've done it, and they're like, yo, this is good. Which for you, you're but it's not perfect. But here's the thing, because we're so critical on ourselves, we often think that what our idea of perfect is isn't what somebody else look at and be like, yo, that's amazing. And here's the other thing about the good enough. Is this good enough? Does this get the job done? Good enough doesn't mean that you're settling. Good enough just means I recognize that there's still room for growth, but this is appropriate, it works, and it's good enough, because if it's perfect, that means nothing needs to change. That's why you nor myself will ever be perfect, because there's always going to be room to change. So yeah, but even as I'm thinking about, getting over being perfect, or being, again, far more gentle with myself, more caring with myself, as I hope that you are in whatever situation you're in, work or relationships, or just all of them relationships anyway, even with yourself, learning that, okay, again, did I do my best? Did I show up? Because perfection does not exist. And I'm sure you've heard it, I've heard it, but how it's registering now, it's making me realize that at the end of the day, I can't use perfection as an excuse anymore. I can't use an excuse for why I don't show up more on my Instagram or any of my social media. I can't use an excuse for why I don't, get workbooks done, or I don't publish stuff, because if I could just, again, focus on, I'm good with this, I'm satisfied with this, and this is the best I can do given this circumstance. Don't mean I'm sloppy. It means at the end of the day, I'm cutting out an expectation for myself that is unreasonable. Okay, it's unreasonable. So for you, what are the things in your life that you've been dealing with, grappling with, fighting with, whatever, that you're giving yourself some unrealistic expectations for, and stressing yourself out unnecessarily? Because let me tell you, the night before that website came out, I was like, I'm good. I'm not going to change nothing else. I'm good, because I have done everything with this that I think that I can do, again, given my skills, and I'm going to be all right with it. So then real quick, let me hit you with this. And thinking about perfection and thinking about just, again, progress, it helped me understand something that's really important for life. And with all the relationships we have with all the people from all walks and aspects and all this stuff, right? It gave me a space to say, you know what, Eve, you're good. Even when I think about how am I doing as a wife, as a daughter, as a sister, as a fur mom, as a friend, as an educator and scholar, hell, as an entrepreneur, how am I doing? And for me, by realizing that I am not perfect, like I'm good, it helps me to be patient and understanding with people who are in my life. And I'm like, I have to show them the same grace that I'm learning to show myself. So is there somebody in your life with whom you giving expectations, maybe even more than what you have of yourself, but because they're not you and you expect them to be better, that they're not, hitting that thing that you think they should hit? That's something to think about, ain't it? So I find that, and I've known this again for a long time, but just how I'm reconceptualizing it with this situation, that at the end of the day, the reason I can be, again, just more thoughtful when it comes to people in my life, especially people that I love, is knowing how I feel about myself and fighting with my own imperfections. Don't you think that people in your life are fighting with their own stuff too? And then here you come with your standards and your expectations, and now it's like, well, dang, not only am I fighting with myself and what I got going on, but now I gotta worry about what they got going on and what they want from me. Listen, crazy, ain't it? But saying that to say, at the end of the day, I really hope that you find some wiggle room in your life, right? With some of the stress that you may be experiencing, and again, some of the expectations that you're holding yourself to about how you show up and what you do and what you become and all of these things. Because at the end of the day, I realize, and like I'm telling you, and I'm gonna keep saying it to you too, there's always room for us to grow and to do better. But that does not mean that how we show up, the way we show up and what we do isn't good enough. And good enough, for whatever reason, to have this negative connotation for years about good enough, like, oh, that's good enough. Like, why? Because if you go somewhere to a restaurant and you get a meal and, it's good enough, you satisfied, you ate, like, you don't have complaints. And that's the thing. If I don't have no complaints, why am I making a complaint? Because it needs to be better. Like, that's just crazy. But, be patient with yourself. be okay with being a work in progress. Be okay with ever evolving. That's beautiful, ever evolving. Because if you're perfect, like, what else you got to do on this earth anyway? And what else can you do, period, if you just so perfect? Like, but I mean, it's one thing to say I'm perfect. No, that's perfect. Like, understanding the expression of saying that's perfect, like, that's great, that's good enough. Like, I look at something, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's perfect, that's wonderful, that works. But not trying to be like, it's gotta be perfect. I know you follow me, I know you get me. So yeah, didn't think I'd be long today. Wasn't expecting to, trying to, don't want to be. Just want to give you what I feel like, will be helpful as you're journeying through this thing called life. And, just remind you it's all good. And as you go forth, continue to, again, give yourself that space, or now that I can think of it in technical terms, some padding to be able to, just continue to grow and make sense of everything that you've got going on in your life. And like at every stage, it's all good. It's all good. So with that, I do believe, or not even believe, I know that I found a comfort in being able to do more, just in general. And then I will, because at the end of the day, done is done. And like when I was in grad school, I had a mentor, faculty, kind of in the mix of that. I don't even know what to call it, but anyway, say to me one day, a done dissertation is a good dissertation, and a good dissertation is one that's done. And even with hearing that, again, all these years later, coming back to the idea is that what's your best, and just do your best, but also allow people to do their best as well, and give not just yourself, but everybody and everything room for progress, because perfection does not exist. All right. You know that I love you, and I'm glad that you're here. And since we talked about it, please go check out that website. Imperfected and all. Did I just make that word up? Imperfect and all. Go check it out. Go look around, because it's definitely an upgrade from what it used to be. I will say that. I'm gonna give myself credit for that. And just know that I appreciate you for being here. And until the next time, keep pressing forward. All right, I'm out.